Thank you all so much for joining us today for the next episode and our new Spider Summer webinar series. My name is Jason Onesto, and I am the Assistant Director of New Student Programs here at the University of Richmond. And then I'll hand things off to my current intern, Marianne, to introduce herself.
Hi, y'all. My name is Marianne Packer. I recently graduated from the University of Richmond, and now I am working in the Office of New Student Programs alongside Jason as an intern. Excited to be here with you today.
Thank you, Marianne. We will let our guests introduce themselves here in just a minute, but before we do, just one small housekeeping item to keep in mind as we're going through the webinar. You will notice at the bottom of your screen there is a little box with a question mark and with the letters Q&A underneath it. If you would like to utilize this function to submit any questions that you have as our presenters are delivering their content, we will have some formal time at the end of the presentation to answer these questions, but if you wouldn't mind submitting them there as you have them, or if you would like to save them all to the end, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Just know that you will use that box at the bottom of your screen to submit those questions. Alrighty, without further ado, I will hand things off to our presenters today. Damon?
Very good. Thank you, Jason. I'm Damon Yarnell, Associate Provost for Careers at the University of Richmond. And I'm here with my good colleague, Brendan Halligan, who leads experiential learning for our team. We are thrilled to have the chance to spend time with you today, and we'll introduce ourselves in a minute. But first, I want to give you a quick overview of the three main points that we will cover today. By the end of our time, you'll know about our goals for Spiders, how our philosophy and model apply to first year and incoming students, important next steps for your first year at the University of Richmond, and where you can find more resources. I say first year and incoming students because we may have transfer students and families joining us today. In previous roles, I've overseen the transfer process, and I have a clear understanding of the transfer experience. Everyone is welcome in career services, and my team and I look forward to meeting and working with all of you. With that quick overview, and before we get into the meat of the presentation, I want to take a quick minute for introductions, and I'll go first. As Associate Provost, I oversee the career program. I'm a big picture person, and I take a broad view of career development. This means that I ask big questions like, what's the relationship between a top-tier education and a great career? Or what is the relationship between a successful career and a happy and fulfilling life? But I'm also a pragmatist, and my concrete goals include making sure that all Spiders have maximum access to opportunity before and after they graduate, to integrate career awareness and career development throughout the student experience, to make sure that our team lives up to President Halligan's charge to be relentlessly welcoming, and to have fun. I love my job. I get to ask and answer big questions about life, learning, work, and fulfillment. And most of all, I get to work with talented young people to help them discover or confirm their sense of direction, and then to pursue their dreams. Even though I haven't met any of you yet, my team and I are 100% committed to helping you get what you want out of your first year, out of your next 4 years, and beyond. With that, I will turn things over to Brendan so that he can introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Damon. So my name is Brendan Halligan. I'm a Senior Associate Director of Experiential Learning in Career Services. A big part of my role is managing the Richmond Guarantee, which guarantees that all current Spiders have the opportunity for one funded summer research or internship experience for a low or unpaid internship. So within managing that Richmond Guarantee, I love to advise students on the application process, on how to shape a good internship, and then from application to that final day of their internship, I'm helping provide students support as questions come up over the summer. We don't take the summer off. We're here to help students while they're out doing their experiential learning. And then a really big thing that we do is students, it's not just the internship and the gaining of experience that's important. It is the guided reflection and making meaning And I help students kind of connect what they're doing, whether it's research or interning in an external organization. How does that connect back to their academics? And how does that fit into their larger career goals? So those are the things that I'm really excited to help students do.
Great. Thank you, Brendan. Brendan is one of the most popular people on campus, and for good reasons. Not only does he have the capacity to help fund amazing experiences, which makes him popular for students, but he works directly with faculty, and faculty are deeply invested in making sure that students have access to opportunities as well. Okay, so now that you know a little bit about us, let's return to the questions with which I led. Why are we hosting a career development webinar the summer before students start their first year at the University of Richmond? Students choose UR for different reasons, and they start their studies from different places. Some students are committed to the broadest possible exploration. Some arrive already with very clear ideas about what they want to study and possibly even what they might want to do after they graduate. And most students are somewhere in between. All of these places are excellent ways to start, and we are ready for you at the University of Richmond. Nationally, about 80% of students say that getting a good job and even making good money is a very important reason that they're going to college. And the rising importance of career to college students is a long-term trend, by which I mean at least 50 years. In the most recent surveys, a growing percentage of students also identify developing personal interests or personal fulfillment and well-being as top priorities. The good news is that you don't have to make these into either or choices at the University of Richmond. You can build pathways around the logic of both and. You can be committed to exploration in your first year and place a priority on landing a good job, whatever that means to you, or going to a top graduate school when you launch in 2030. In fact, my team and I want both and for you too. We want you both to have a rewarding and fun 4 years while you're with us, and we want you to be ready to do whatever it is that you decide to do next when you graduate. So that's why we're hosting this webinar today, so that you can begin to build a both and pathway, starting from where your feet are today. This is a chart that shows where students launched in their first opportunity and where they started, meaning what college they started in, whether it's arts and sciences or Robbins or Jepson. One of the things that this chart shows is that your college or your major is not your destiny. Students from every major and every college launch into a variety of careers. Some majors tend to correlate with linear pathways. It's true. Accounting, for example. Most students who study accounting go directly into accounting. But in 2025, we had an accounting major who also studied pre-health, and he chose his first opportunity at a hospital because it aligned with his very, very ambitious long-term career goals. The bottom line is that the University of Richmond supports both linear pathways and nonlinear pathways. When I say that your major isn't your destiny, it's not the same thing as saying that your major doesn't matter. My team and I think about your program of study as a signal of your interests. I want you to draw connections between what you choose to study in the classroom and what you're most curious or passionate about outside of it. What kinds of problems and projects do you find most intriguing? What kind of evidence do you enjoy working with the most? What talents and skills do you enjoy using the most? Another takeaway that's hidden beneath the surface of this slide is that your level of engagement with the career team is a much better predictor of how quickly you will launch into your first opportunity and how happy you will be with that opportunity than is your major. How involved you are with the career team is a better predictor of how quickly you launch and how happy you are with your launch than your major. So as a result, my very strong recommendation to all incoming students is that you aim for at least 3 meaningful points of contact with the career team each year starting this year. So if you're committed to the broadest possible exploration, say so. Whether about your studies, your extracurricular or co-curricular engagements, or your career interests if you've started to develop them. And likewise, if you have really clear ideas already, please be clear about this as well. Ask questions like, how do your various interests inside and outside the classroom connect, or where do they diverge? Everything that you do at the University of Richmond can enhance your career awareness and your career development. Pay attention to what gives you energy, what you find fulfilling, and what you find fun. Something I repeat just about every week is that I really want students to take their sense of fun seriously. Okay, so you've heard me say that I recommend at least 3 meaningful points of contact with our team every year, starting this year. Whether you're committed to exploration, have very clear ideas about what you want to study or do, or if you find yourself in between. So what is a meaningful point of engagement? Well, one of your 3 points of engagement should be a conversation with an advisor. This could be a quick introduction. Who are you? Why did you choose the University of Richmond? What have you enjoyed so far? What have you found surprising so far? What are you curious about doing next? Or it could be a really focused and practical conversation. If you've known that you want to be a neurosurgeon since you were 9 years old, then by all means, we can start talking about clinical hours. Beyond meeting with an advisor, what else might be a meaningful point of contact? The career team offers a lot of program, literally hundreds of events every year. We take students on road trips to visit employers in places like New York and Boston and Washington and Silicon Valley. We host employers, alumni, and parents on campus for immersive events in finance, consulting, healthcare, the arts, and more. And as Brendan mentioned, we manage the Richmond Guarantee, which awards up to $5,300 for unpaid or underpaid internships or research. Brendan is here to answer questions. This is one of the most important things that we do. Internship experience, research experience, experience outside the classroom in general is more important every year. And one of our highest priorities is to help students secure internships and research experiences, at least one, and preferably more than one. Okay, so how can we translate some of what we've said into a student's first year? We have built our philosophy and model to meet you where you are, to help you decide what to do, and help you to do what you decide to do when you want to do it. In other words, we want you to be agile and proactive in pursuit of your goals. This means that we don't use a year-by-year model, something like explore in your first year, prepare in your sophomore year, test things out in your junior year, and launch in your senior year. A year-by-year model like that would not work at the University of Richmond because students start from different places. Moreover, my conviction is that in 2026, that kind of linear sequential model just doesn't work anymore. So instead, our model is agile. You can enter at any point. You can go in any order. You can return to an element that you've done before after you make a new discovery about yourself or your career interests. All you have to decide is what you want to do today. We offer personal proactive outreach, meaning that all first-year students will receive personalized outreach from a member of the career team. You just need to answer our messages. And the career team is made up of people who derive their own fulfillment, professional fulfillment, from helping you achieve your goals. We're agnostic about what your goals are. You get to define what good means. You get to define what success means. You get to decide what fits for you. But once we understand your goals, we will work alongside you to achieve them, and we'll celebrate with you when you do. A key feature of career development at the University of Richmond is our Spider network. Spiders are fiercely loyal to the university. And connecting with graduates and alumni is an element of our program which cuts across every element of our model. Students should start talking to one another about their interests inside and outside the classroom. They should talk to their professors, they should talk to staff, and they should talk with alumni. No matter what your interests may be, and no matter where you are in developing them, we will help you connect with spiders who are out in the world doing things that you think are cool and interesting. One of the myths at a top school like the University of Richmond is that the career team is mostly interested in finance. And it's true that we're interested in finance. We have a big business school. Big finance firms recruit large classes of thousands of graduates every year, and they recruit far in advance, like clockwork. It's a machine. And this is all highly visible. But we're equally interested in every field, and we're growing our network in every field. Last year, we prioritized biotech and fine arts. The year before that, we prioritized artificial intelligence, entrepreneurship, and international affairs. No matter what your interests, we will help connect you with spiders who are out in the world doing something that you think is cool and interesting. And I want to add one point here, especially for incoming students. Every year, finance and consulting seem to move the starting line for recruitment earlier. And this means that if you're remotely curious about finance or consulting or healthcare, if you're remotely curious about these fields, and even if that curiosity means you don't really know what finance or consulting might look like, connect with us early. We don't control how recruiters behave, and so we need to keep their timeline. Okay, I'm going to point to some resources here that you should find helpful, but I want to emphasize that the resources that we have developed are not a substitute for a working relationship with a career advisor or with a professor. So with this in mind, we have created flexible year-by-year guides that will outline 3 or more meaningful actions that you can take each year, including your first year, tied to your priorities. So sit down with an advisor to introduce yourself, as I mentioned, take a personality or skills assessment, attend a career exploration workshop or an industry workshop, start talking to people about the things you're curious about or interested in, work on your fundamental professional development skills like building a LinkedIn profile or crushing a 30-second professional introduction or making your resume, and possibly even organizing a search for a summer opportunity. So use our guides to take at least 3 meaningful steps each year for 4 years. Our website is also a great resource. It's new, it's dynamic, it's built for intuitive 24/7 access, and it delivers content that is tailored to your interests. And we're consistently adding new posts, new resources, new information to the website. The more you tell us about yourself and your interests, the more tailored the information will be. And this includes the important information that you're committed to broad exploration and haven't made decisions about your career path yet. The more we know about you, the better we'll be able to give you information that will be useful. In addition to working directly with our team, our success guides also encourage you to seek out opportunities for engagement and leadership on campus. This could mean student government or Greek life or campus employment, volunteerism, or athletics. And we encourage you to do this for 2 reasons. One is to discover or to confirm your authentic interests. What's fun? What uses of your time do you find most energizing and most rewarding? And the second reason is that your engagement matters to employers and other opportunity keepers, just like your commitments outside the classroom mattered when you applied to the University of Richmond. So you should aim for a rich, well-rounded, holistic engagement at the University of Richmond. So we're very focused on making sure that you're ready to succeed in pursuing your goals, whatever they may be now, this year, today. But we're also focused on the future. And we've built what we call future kits, designed to help you ask sharp questions about how your areas of interest and how your chosen fields may develop and change. You can get a few tips and tricks in less than a minute. Using a future kit in 5 minutes, you can develop creative and distinctive questions that are probably unlike questions that most other people are asking. And in 20 minutes, you can get curated guidance from leading experts in the field, whether it's people from the University of Pennsylvania's Institute on the Future of the Legal Profession, or Aspen Institute on the Future of Sports, or McKinsey on the future of pretty much anything. So why is this important? Well, it's true that we are in a period of accelerating change, including from generative AI. Our future kits include guidance about formulating questions about information technology, about generative AI. And our website includes my best and up-to-date guidance about how to build a career in the age of AI. But I've been interested in the futures of education and work since I started in higher education. And one reason is that you, as incoming students, will actually work in the future. If you're an incoming first year, right, your first postgraduate opportunity will start around 2030. You'll probably get your first promotion or possibly even consider your first career move 2 or 4 years after that. So I want you to be ready for now, but I also want you to stay ready for next. So I want you to be curious and agile enough that you'll continue to have maximum access to opportunity so that you can continue to seek out the best possibilities for opportunity and fun for you. So we're focused on now, and we're focused on next. Okay, what does this all look like when it comes together for students? Everything we do as a team aims to connect students to the right people and the right resources and the right opportunities at the right time. And everything that students do at the University of Richmond can enhance their career development. So before we open things up for Q&A, here are a few examples. This is Luisa. She graduated in 2023. Actually, originally was from Brazil. She worked in the Learning Center on campus, meaning that she helped students with their writing and presentations. She majored in rhetoric, communication, and minored in entrepreneurship. She got an internship that let her travel to different offices at LinkedIn, New York City, San Francisco, and Sao Paulo. She was president or vice president, and president of Kappa Delta. And her first opportunity was at LinkedIn as a communications specialist. So everything that she did, from Greek life to her campus job, to her study abroad, to her internships, all fed in to her eventual starting point. So you might think to yourself, well, that's 2023. They graduate 800 students every year. Damon's just cherry picking. So I'm going to share some more recent examples. And we know where the class of 2025 landed. We'll know more about the class of 2026 in January. So that's why I'm talking about class of 2025. So here's another example. Daniel participated in a Spiders in Silicon Valley road trip. He got a research fellowship out in California. and now has continued his interest in data science and information technology at Stanford. Nina had a different set of interests. She worked for the UN. She worked for embassies, plural, in Washington, D.C. And now she's at Johns Hopkins, where she's studying international affairs and relations. Jack participated in a virtual road trip in consulting, got a local internship here in Richmond, and now works for one of the top consultancies in Washington, D.C. And Elena, talk about contrasting interests. Elena loves wilderness and the outdoors. She did research on the Colorado Trail, studied abroad, did an internship at a Peace Institute in California, and is now working for the Virginia Department of Conservation. And so I hope what you'll take away is just how different each of these students are, how much their interests contrasted, and yet how they each managed to build a rich and wholesome student experience while they were here that helped propel them to their first opportunity. Okay, as we start to wind down and turn to an opportunity for questions and answers, just going to review some of our key takeaways. Own your interests and where you are in developing there, and have confidence that we will meet you wherever you are. This includes, especially if you are committed to broad exploration, please don't wait until you think you figured something out to come start working with the career team. One of the biggest changes I would say over the past 20 or 25 years has been the idea of taking a wait and see approach. So I encourage you, instead of saying that you're undecided if this fits your profile, to say that you're considering your possibilities, or you're committed to exploration, and then act on that position. You're figuring things out, and then take action to help figure things out starting in your first year. Aim for 3 meaningful points of connection starting this year. So that means 12 or more points of meaningful connection by the time you graduate. Get engaged inside and outside the classroom. Make the most of this place. The University of Richmond has so much to offer you. And please keep up with our calendar of our events. We work hard to put on, as I mentioned, more than 100 events every year. Notably among them, several opportunities to learn more from Brendan about how to access the Richmond Guarantee, both in the fall and in the spring. And I'll highlight one event, November 7th, which is a joint academic and career advising confab. We'll take over THC, and you can stop in and participate in programming, probably get some good food, and ask and answer any questions that you can think of. So with that, I'd like to open the floor for questions.
So we'll give y'all a moment to type your questions into the chat. But to get us started, Damon, I was curious, what are some of those opportunities that spiders have used the Richmond Guarantee for? What can that range from?
Oh yeah, thanks,
Great.
Marianne. That's one of my favorite questions because the variety of things that students do is really exciting. I love to kind of look through and talk about the things that students are doing. So one of the university's superpowers is our student-centered faculty. And so a great number of our students use the Richmond Guarantee to do faculty mentored summer research. And that research ranges from biology, chemistry research. We've got students this summer that are working on novels with an English professor or a series of short stories. A student that works in our career services office, she is heading out to Indonesia in a few weeks to go compose original music with musicians there. Another student's filming a documentary. So that's all done through faculty mentored, funded summer research. Some examples of organizations that students utilize the Richmond Guarantee for. We have lots of students that are interning with U.S. senators and representatives. Uh, the Boston Children's Hospital, so amazing healthcare institutions. The student that's at the Boston Children's Hospital this summer is it's the summer after their first year, so you don't have to wait until you're a rising senior to take advantage of this. First year students are doing these amazing things. The Maryland Symphony Orchestra, if you're interested in law, the Denver District Attorney's Office. From a sustainability perspective, the Upper Amazon Conservancy, Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Civil War Museum, and the Vermont Historical Society. So just a wide range of really exciting things that students are able to do through the Richmond Guarantee.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that answer. Still, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I have another one for y'all if you're able to. So currently, given some of the challenges that are presented in our job market, what have spiders experienced and how does career services or how can career services provide support when it comes to tricky job markets?
Great, I'll take that. Thanks for that question. And it's a question that I probably field every time I get a chance to talk to students and families, mostly because of the headlines, right? In any given week, especially during graduation season, one can find headlines about the jobs apocalypse, especially for new graduates. And it's true that this is a different kind of job market than, let's say, 2022 or some of our boom years. And I will say that each of the last 2 years, spiders have actually done better than they had the year prior in both landing internships and jobs. So we don't know. We won't know the final numbers for this year until January 1st. But at this point, we're almost 2 full percentage points ahead of where we were the same point last year. And that has everything to do with the fact that this graduating class had more internships coming up than prior classes. So that's not to say that it's easy. And our team works closely with every student who wants our help. And some of the guidance we give include making sure to be focused and patient and to stay positive. Why? Because it's taking a little longer, not only at the University of Richmond, but everywhere, for students to land opportunities. And what we know from experience and from working with other students and alumni who graduated into challenging markets is that perseverance and positivity is often the difference maker. And the other thing I would say is that it's true that AI is changing the landscape in some fields, especially for new graduates. And we are up to the minute current in everything that's happening in the job market related to AI. We share our best guidance. And the University of Richmond offers all kinds of opportunities to sharpen their skills and knowledge of AI. And so right now, AI skills offer a bit of advantage. And more importantly than that, AI judgment. When can I use AI most effectively? What are the best possible use cases? That's right now a real differentiator. It's going to change next year and we'll be up and current next year. But right now, our students are outperforming. And I'm very proud of the work that the team has done, and I'm more proud of the work the spiders have done to make that true.
Thank you, Damon. I'm seeing some questions coming in the chat now from some of our attendees. I'll start off with one that says, the study abroad opportunities are amazing at UR. But what are some ways we can connect our career interests with study abroad opportunities that don't necessarily align with those interests?
Great. Brenda, do you want to answer that or would you like me to?
I mean, I could talk about a lot of the internships that students do both through the Richmond Guarantee and outside of it aren't just in the U.S. So we awarded for this coming summer, we awarded funding for students to do research or internships in 25 different countries. So that global engagement from a career perspective is really important to us. Um, so um, so like I mentioned some earlier, students are going to Peru to do sustainability work. Faculty are taking students abroad to do archaeological research. So both on the research side and on the internship side, we are encouraging students uh, to seek out opportunities globally. And some of that is through faculty connections. I know I can think of one student that's in Kosovo this summer. A faculty member connected them with a NGO that's run by a former president of Kosovo. And so that student's getting to have an amazing opportunity doing that. So we have a lot of examples if you're interested in connecting with international opportunities. I don't know, Damon, if there's anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So those are great examples. And there are all kinds of opportunities, especially I think as Brendan started to outline, opportunities that do align with a course of study or a set of career interests. I think the question was about opportunities that may not align directly. And so this is a good example of both and it's a good example of um, how something that is rich and rewarding and fun on its own right, in its own right, can also help students enhance their career development. Our team works closely with the global engagement team, which runs study abroad. And just participating in study abroad actually helps develop skills. This is well researched and documented that can feed uh, career readiness broadly. And one of my favorite programs to help run is to actually work with students who come back from study abroad, even without having done an internship, like all the many opportunities that Brendan outlined, to unpack what it is that they gained by being immersed in a new environment, often living in a different language, and how that informs who they are, what they're curious about next, and what they can do that is different now that they have had the chance to study abroad. So, because it's such a powerful, high impact learning opportunity, even if it's not immediately obvious what the directly aligned connections are to um, between study abroad and career interests, students discover that they have, to use one of Brendan's phrases, they've developed superpowers abroad that they haven't even necessarily recognized yet, and helping them tap into what those superpowers are and translate them so that everybody can recognize the benefit is one of my favorite programs that we run.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for those answers. And then I have another question that just came in. It says, I am interested in pursuing medical school. Is that something that we plan around from the beginning, or is there a point in my 4 years where preparing myself for that becomes more of a focus? What help does UR provide for applying to med school? And before you answer that, I would like to tell us attendee that at 4 p.m., we actually have our pre-health webinar where our pre-health and pre-med advisor, Dr. John Vaughn, will be presenting on exactly that. So you'll get more detailed information on that from him. But Damon or Brendan, if you have something you'd like to say about career services support, that'd be great. And also as a pre-med student myself who just graduated, I could also help with this question.
That's that's great. Well, I'm happy to to step aside for Brendan because he works closely with Brandy, or to you, Marianne, so that you can share firsthand experience.
Sure. And Marianne, I'll turn it over to you. But I think what I would say, um, to we encourage students to begin kind of working on pre-med, any interest early on. The great thing about being pre-med, and you may be aware of this, is you can be pre-med and be any major, any interest. So along with our amazing pre-health advisor, Dr. John Vaughn, we also in career services, every career advisor has a focus, and Brandy Yule works with students that are interested in science and health. And what that means is she puts on programs that are specific um, to students that are interested in those areas. So some examples of that are deconstructing health, where we bring alums in the healthcare space to talk to students about their careers. Doing Brandy can help prepare you for your medical school interviews. She can help you find shadowing opportunities for with doctors and dentists. So there's a myriad of things to do, and Brandy is someone, and Dr. Vaughn as well, that from that first week to graduation, they're people that will walk with you through that journey and help you determine how you want to carve that path. And Marianne, I'd love to turn it back to you so you can share your experience.
Sure. Thank you, Brendan. So, when it comes to being pre med, I think it's important from when you first step on campus to have an idea of the prerequisite coursework that's required. And so, if that is something you're interested in, I would recommend taking a biology or a chemistry class your first semester at Richmond so you can sort of get on that pathway for the pre medical course of study. However, pre med is just a path. So, as Brendan said, you could major in dance, you could major in music, you could major in history, and you could still be pre med because it's just a slew of courses you need to put together in order to be qualified to apply to medical programs. And Dr. Vaughn will go much more into detail with all of these things in our next webinar at 4 p.m. So, I don't want to take up too much time. But I will say that this is not something I would overly stress about as an incoming student. As you get deeper into your coursework and around junior year is when you really start to focus on what being pre-med looks like and applying to medical school, all the nitty-gritty details of that. But when you're starting off, I would say career services is probably a great place to go to talk to Brandy Ewell, who is the pre-health person within career services. I remember going to her and talking about different medical volunteer opportunities my first year, and she was able to connect me with some local hospitals. And so I was able to start volunteering early on. So even if you're not super focused on some of the more nitty gritty parts of medical school applications and whatnot, it's really awesome to get medical exposure early on. And career services is a great way where you can find some of those experiences. And with that, we had another question pop in the chat. Says, is there other support available apart from the Richmond Guarantee?
Great. I don't mind starting, but Brendan, I hope you'll jump in and or finish. So yes, support is capacious. It's a capacious term, and we offer capacious support. The Richmond Guarantee includes, and Brendan can say much more about this, financial support, but then also guidance and support, as Brendan started to allude to, in especially making meaning out of your opportunity. But let's leave aside the financial support. Imagine that I'm a student who wants to pursue an internship, maybe one that's well paid, right? And so that wouldn't fall under the Richmond Guarantee. We support students at every step, from deciding what their interests are, testing their interests, preparing application materials, mounting an opportunity search, so an internship or a job search. We offer support at every step. We can literally walk students through every step in discerning interests and then pursuing opportunities. So there's much more support beyond the Richmond Guarantee. And with specific regard to securing internship or research opportunities, the entire staff is ready to work with students who want to mount a search for a summer opportunity. I hope I answered the question. The answer is yes. We support everyone, and we support everyone at every step. Brenda, did you have more to say?
Yeah, I think I was just going to mention from a financial support perspective, we also offer what we call the Career Opportunity Fund, which is funding to support your career search. What that means is you have a few opportunities through the semester to receive funding for things like interview wardrobe or travel to interviews. So we want to provide that kind of support to make your search process possible.
Thanks, Brendan. Those are great. Those are great points. And so my overall guidance. Thanks again for that. If by support you mean financial support, um, our team wants to say yes. So if you're not sure, come talk to us. And if we're able, we will help you find a way. Um, so the Career Opportunity Fund is a great example of that.
Thank you all so much.
Go ahead.
So, Brendan and Damon, as we're wrapping up, is there anything else you'd like to share? I know you had that resources slide with links if you wanted to pull that up so students could take a picture of it. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I'll leave that up
absolutely.
for a second.
Great. Yep, these are links to some of the resources that I showed or talked about, including the Richmond Guarantee. And telephone and
Alrighty.
email also work.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much for coming to our Spider Summer series featuring career services. A huge thank you to Damon and Brendan for taking some time to share the amazing resources we have at the University of Richmond with us and all of you today. Please feel free to check out our new Spider YouTube channel where you can find webinars from all of the different departments and offices that have come on our webinars. And we will upload this webinar so that in the future you can go back, look at the slides, look at those resources once again. Also, please feel free to check out our new Spider orientation website. It has the orientation schedule posted. If you want to sign up for future new Spider Summer series, like our one at 4 p.m. for pre-health, the QR code is right there. And then also you can follow us on our Instagram to learn more about what's going on and keep up to date. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Damon, Brendan, and thank you, Jason, as well. Hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.